Well, welcome everyone to Bridge Innovates Inspire series and today's program, Project Return, an innovative nonprofit success story for changing lives. It's going to be an amazing program today. I can't wait to introduce you to our two guest speakers. But first, let's get to know you. Who's joining us today? So if you would please go into the chat and introduce yourself, maybe your name and your organization. And I'll ask Luke, who's helping us in production, to maybe start us off by doing that as well and invite our speakers to do that. And throughout today's program, if you are identifying key insights, you want to pose a question, please continue to use the chat as we get going today to have conversation with each other and to shout out great insights that you're hearing along the way. So thanks, Noah, for being with us. I see actually we have two Noahs with us today. So great. Welcome, everyone. As you're coming in, please do go into the chat, introduce yourself, your name and your organization. Michael, thank you so much for being with us today. So a number of you coming in now to say hello. So again, welcome to today's program, Project Return, an innovative nonprofit success story for changing lives. Let's get going. So this is a part of Bridge Innovates Inspire series where we highlight the inspirational stories of leaders who are driving innovation and change around the country and around the world. So thank you for joining us today. We have a smashing lineup of speakers today. So let's move on. Today we have the CEO, Bettie Kirkland, of Project Return, along with Larry Craig, Social Enterprise Director. Bettie's been with Project Return now for 10 years, not originally from Tennessee. She was originally from the Kansas City area, but has been in the Tennessee area for now 20 years. So we'll call her a native by tenure. So Bettie's been with us here in the Tennessee area for 20 years. She brings with her in her career her degree as an attorney, her law degree, as well as her MBA. Larry, her partner in this venture as Social Enterprise Director, is a native Tennessean and has been with Project Return now for 7 years. Larry brings a wealth of experience over 25 years working with marginalized communities, whether it's in the HIV and AIDS area or populations in general that are marginalized and helping them overcome. And being now focusing on incarceration and with Project Return now for 7 years. Larry brings with him his master's in psychology as a part of his credentials into this program. So it's exciting for us to introduce to you today this leadership team that's doing an amazing innovation in the nonprofit space in terms of how they run, how they operate, and how they serve their clientele. So with that, I'm going to actually turn it over to Bettie and ask her to introduce us to Project Return, and then we'll go through a series of Q&A questions with the leadership team from Project Return. So here we go. Bettie, off to you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Larry and I are thrilled to be with you all today. I'll just start with a brief overview of Project Return. We are a nonprofit organization that is solely dedicated to the successful new beginnings of people getting out of incarceration and returning to our communities. So that is our obsession, that is our expertise, that is our work. Our solution is pretty simple on the surface. It's employment plus wraparound support, all in a relationship-based context. And employment is the key to people's success after incarceration. And so that is our real focus in all that we do while we wrap around them with support. You can go to the next slide, if you will. One of the keys to our work, and probably the really innovative theme of all that we do, is social enterprise. It is an entrepreneurial approach that is both mission-centric and revenue-generating. So we essentially are looking at the gaps for our people in terms of both employment and housing, and then we are replicating the private market by standing up our own businesses, our social enterprises, in those gaps, built to serve rather than exclude the people that we serve. And one more slide, Luke, just to get into the weeds a little bit. Our largest and oldest and most successful social enterprise is Pro-E, which we have introduced to the Chattanooga area now and launched it here, and it's on the ground and running, and we're so excited. It is a high-quality staffing company in which we are able to be the best first employer of the people we serve and partner with companies that want and need workforce. So we'll get more into that. That's just a quick look at Pro-E, our largest, oldest, and most successful social enterprise.
Betty, thanks so much for giving us that sort of orientation to your nonprofit agency. I think so many times I get people say they're a nonprofit agency that's running a revenue generating business. And so that in and of itself is highly innovative. Talk to me a bit about Project Return and the problems that your clients, the severity of the problem, both with people coming out of incarceration, the problems your clients face, and then why Chattanooga? Why, you're originally right from Nashville. Like, why the expansion to Chattanooga?
Sure. Well, first of all, we are so happy and excited to be in Chattanooga. That maybe goes without saying. Project Return addresses an outsized problem, which demands really an aggressive and innovative approach. And our model is highly replicable and it has been a proven success. So, as a Tennessee nonprofit organization, we need to be in the urban areas of our state. And this is one we're thrilled to be in. We started building relationships in Chattanooga over 2 years ago, and we were so well received, and there was so much interest that really it was not so much us coming here as you all in Chattanooga drawing us here, and we're honored to be joining this community and be a part of it. Mass incarceration is a defining dilemma of our day, not just in Chattanooga or Nashville, but in our country. It is driving intergenerational poverty. It is a foundational underpinning of structural racism. And as a country, you all probably know we are home to 5% of the world's population, but nearly 25% of the world's prison population. So truly an outsized problem. Closer to home, Tennessee's state felony incarceration rate grew by nearly 70% over the past 3 decades. So, and meanwhile, right now, this year, we know about 14,000 men and women will be released from Tennessee penitentiaries by the end of 2021. That's an annual sort of data point. When a person is released from prison, they're often put outside the gates at midnight. Often they have just the clothes they're wearing and little else, maybe pockets. And so this deprivation and destitution is really is the marker for where they begin when they get put outside the gates. And that is the very people, the very individuals that Project Return addresses, because that person is someone's son or someone's mother, someone's brother. They are human beings of worth and potential. And so we are situated, we are situated right at that juncture when someone gets out. How can we, Project Return, innovate and be proactive and really work to come alongside them and do everything we can to make sure that they have successful new beginnings?
Fantastic. I'm thankful, right? I'm very thankful that your organization exists. Larry, talk to us about these services. So Betty's helped us to understand the severity of the problem, your clientele, folks coming out of incarceration. Tell us about the services of Project Return.
Well, thanks, Jenny, and thank you for that introduction. I'm appreciative of the crowd that's joining us today online. Jenny, we have a wide array of signature services that meet the unique needs of people who are getting out of incarceration. And we feel we've been very innovative in terms of wrapping around individuals the needs that they have to remove those barriers that can have them to focus on the very thing that we exist to provide for them, and that is levels of employment. We start with, acquiring a birth certificate for them, because in most states you have to have that to even become a viable employee of an employer. We address the medical, dental, and vision services and prescription needs of individuals who have come out of incarceration, and that is a real need, whether it was an onset prior to or while they were doing time. We believe in food bags being dispersed on a daily basis, as well as hot meals that we're serving to individuals who come in on a regular basis to get our services. And there's elements of debt reduction that we try to come around by addressing child support needs, court cost needs, and things like that is all wrapped into our services. When they engage with our social enterprise, our employment creating services that get them to work immediately after completing our job readiness curriculum, there's the immediacy of employment after completion of our program. So an individual could literally land at our doorsteps on a Monday, complete our curriculum by Thursday afternoon, and we have them placed within one of our social enterprises by the following Monday is really the standard that we exist to meet. Alongside placing them in phenomenal employment opportunities, we're going to outfit them with the clothing, shoes, and tools that they need to start the job right. Oftentimes, individuals get out and they're destitute and they have nothing at all. They can command employment with the skills, but starting the job is something that we realized that we really needed to wrap around them to be able to start that job the right way. We've got coaching layered into our social enterprise as it relates to the barrier removal and walking alongside these individuals that are having issues ongoing prior to getting out of incarceration and continue to exist. And so for them to focus on employment and know that they've got support through our coaching process, which is ongoing and daily, I think it's an anxiety reliever for the individuals who come out with high anxiety around how they can be successful as it relates to that. Providing transportation, outfitting, and coaching are all approaches to assist our employees with dealing with those identified challenges. The people we exist to serve almost never have what they need, Jenny, when they're released from incarceration. So we exist to stand in that gap and make sure that they have the things that they need to feel good about starting the job, getting to work on time, great attendance, and the right clothing and things that they need to start the job right.
Yeah. Larry, again, you guys amaze me. I just have to give you a shout out because so many times our work over the last 18 years or so, we've done a lot of work with nonprofits, but they will have a very sometimes defined set of services. And so when a person's need goes beyond that, they're like, well, you'll have to go somewhere else for that. And what I love about the fact that you are engaging with your clients in kind of this holistic way, like you really understand your client. You understand their needs from their physical needs to their housing to sort of their job readiness. I just love this entire package approach that you guys are doing. And that's something that's really a signature of your program, right?
Yes, that's pretty much what we exist to do is to wrap around these individuals everything that will allow them to be presented as a great employer. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that we chauffeur our employees to and from work and to and from home on a daily basis around the clock when we place them. That is to ensure that they are ensured great attendance for that employer. It is ensured that that van time is very, very, very significant. We've got individuals who were released just a week ago from doing 20 years of incarceration, and they've got high levels of anxiety. So the conversations they have with our transportation coordinators is almost the beginning of us digging into their lives and understanding the intimacy around what they need and how we can address that while we're taking them to work. That information is coming back to us at 3 o'clock in the morning, and we're figuring out how to address that immediately. So it is a system that we have created to wrap around these individuals to do surgical hits at the barrier removal to help them focus on employment and knocking down the goals that they aspire to come around.
I have to just say, I mean, that was one thing that so impressed me getting to know you all is that so in every part of business today, whether it's in the nonprofit arena or the for-profit arena, people are talking about this customer-centric design, the customer experience. You guys live it, right? You're really all about them and not necessarily about yourselves. Yourselves are there to serve them. And so I really like that. I want to move on to some of our other things. Betty, if you would talk to us a little bit about how you've been innovative. How did you put together this innovative approach? Because it is very different from how most nonprofits operate.
Thanks for that question. Yeah, we're so much we're goldfish swimming in the water and not always thinking about how innovative we are. So we appreciate this highlight. I think to Larry's point, we let our people tell us they are the in frontline understanders of what the issues are. And so when we went to pick up Reggie 8 years ago now to take him to work and he was standing there with a compress against his jaw, that meant he wasn't job ready. And it meant that we needed to get with his employer and make that work. But it also meant that we needed to figure out for our clientele, get in front of those dental issues. That is a part of job readiness. And so that's Reggie helping us understand what we need to do for everyone coming after him and so on and so forth. I think that's really important. And then the other issue with it is really humility goes a long way, and we may need dental services for Reggie, but we are not dentists. We're nowhere near that. And so building the partnerships with local experts and walking hand in hand with them to make sure that between the two of us or the 18 of us or however many there are in the network, that we are meeting those needs with the respective expertise of a lot of different people. So partnership is definitely an essential for us and something that we come to with humility. I think in terms of the innovation, we just start from the understanding that our people are really facing the impossible. They are getting out of prison facing nearly insurmountable odds, and it just demands that innovativeness that is it just must be the way that we come at it. And so, as we mentioned before, we're looking at the world as it is, and we're really seeing the ways in which our people are excluded. How are they being excluded from just the connection to an opportunity? And then how can we then stand in that gap, stand up enterprises in that gap? So literally creating small businesses under our nonprofit umbrella that imitate the private market, but create a market that is expressly for the people we serve who are being excluded from that private market, if that makes sense. So people are excluded from employment. And so we built our first social enterprise is the staffing company, Pro-E, in which we hire them ourselves and then contract with those companies that want the workforce. And it becomes not just a solution in the moment, but it really creates someone's really bright future. Likewise, we created a property services enterprise because there's so much need for landscaping, commercial cleaning, property make ready. And it's another way for us to hire our people, give them a wonderful work opportunity, generate the revenue that pays for a lot of that, as well as a lot of our programming, and gets the work done and meets the mission. We also see the gap in the housing market where people are excluded. They may be wonderful rental applicants, but have a criminal conviction history that landlords can exclude them from that pile. So we now acquire and rehab modest scattered site affordable homes and make those leases at below market rents exclusively available for the people we serve. We see the need, and then we can create the sweet financing model that makes that affordable housing thing cash positive. We see the need, and then we create the enterprise that makes a property services model viable, and is exciting. And we're not done. We're right now, Larry's leading a team to consider our fourth social enterprise. And so anyway, this is it's a way of life, and we're thrilled to be doing it now in Chattanooga as well.
Great. There's a saying in the innovation field where people will talk about service innovation or product innovation. And a big component today for a lot of companies is business model innovation. And you guys have nailed all three, right? And so that's what I think is extraordinary about you. Larry, talk a little bit more about the local economy and like what you're doing here in terms of engaging with Chattanooga and the opening of new services and how you're connecting with the economy here.
Well, the first thing that I'll state is that I think that we're very, very, very integral to the business community, almost in any in landscape that we will land in. We're employing people that otherwise will not have access nor the opportunity to become employed after returning from incarceration, allowing them to be tax-paying citizens through gainful employment and not committing crimes that would have our taxpayers paying over and over again for individuals who are recidivating. So we're standing in the gap to, number one, prevent the recidivation of individuals, right? Therefore, freeing individuals up to have a full and a free life after they've been incarcerated. And then working with the local economy, right, to employ individuals where they've got the opportunity to then spend money back into the economy. So I think that's one of the main ways that we're able to connect locally, employing individuals, being significant to the needs of the business community to help them with their workforce as they're creating their products and pushing their products out. I think it's all a chain link fence that really makes us be viable as we set out to do what we do. I think that's one of the main ways that we connect with the local community from a financial perspective. And from the taxpayers understanding that individuals can come back and be very good people in society and paying taxes like that's what is expected, as long as they're not recidivating and being incarcerated.
Right.
I would add too, I think we see corporate community members who they are concerned about the well-being of their community. I just left a prominent Chattanooga employer this morning, and they're not thinking about just within their walls. They're thinking about how is our community better. And so Return wants to be a part of that impulse and a part of that shared desire. We also know from the longitudinal data of some large companies in this country who have hired high volumes of people after incarceration, we know from their longitudinal data that actually the people that they employ who were previously incarcerated stack up better than their employees who were not previously incarcerated. I'm not been incarcerated before, so that's hard to say because I like to think I'm a good employee. But over time, over their data, what they're seeing through their motivated workforce is that their people who were formerly incarcerated are stellar and succeeding employees. And so we bring that message and that opportunity and that reality to the employers across the local economy, across sectors, across size and longevity, all the things. Like we can connect them to that largely untapped workforce.
Right. I mean, I just think that I hear both of you talk about Project Return and the way that you come to the workforce, your clientele. You've got this aspect of workforce development that you're doing. You've got this personal needs kind of component. You've got the employment. You're running an employment. When then you said there's a barrier, you can't get a job, don't worry, we'll start a business, right? You can't get housing, don't worry, we're going to buy the housing, refurbish them. I really think the courage of leadership that you guys, when you have identified, when you listen to your clients, and then you hear these challenges, you go back to your teams and you're innovating constantly about how to resolve that. So you are having a positive impact on their lives and therefore the communities in which they live and work and thrive. So, I mean, just fantastic story. Larry, kind of bring this home for us. Tell us maybe a couple of stories or a story maybe about how a whole person approach has really made the difference for your clients at Project Return.
Sure, Jenny. I'll share a story about Mike. Mike came to us several years ago. Mike was sent to prison at 14 and came to Project Return after serving 20 years in prison. He arrived at our doorstep. He was destitute, like most other individuals who arrive at our doorsteps at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. He had nothing but the clothes on his back and maybe a few dollars that he had managed to save while he was incarcerated over those 20 years. Mike came in very optimistic and completed our job readiness curriculum, got placed into our transition employment program on what would not only become Mike's first best job, but it will be his first job ever. Landing in incarceration at 14, not even necessarily able to work and coming out after 20 years, Mike depended on us not only to employ him, but to literally guide him as almost a parent would do to a child before they're getting ready to leave the nest. Mike's first job after incarceration, he stayed connected with Project Return, and as he gained more confidence through the coaching he was receiving around accomplishing some of the goals and aspirations that he set out to accomplish around budgeting his income as he struggled to maintain any form of housing, staying away from, and I commend him for this over these last couple of years, he stayed away from all the little addictive behaviors, and he remained focused on the prize of a full and free life after his release. Today, Michael transitioned to a permanent position. He's acquired his driver's license. He has purchased a car. He has solidified his housing and is now looking to get married soon. So Michael is living the life that all of us really set out and exist to live based on just what we call sometimes the American dream. So that's the story of Mike, who would indicate that we really was able to serve the whole person. He received all aspects of our services. It's so satisfying to really, he worked his way out of even being able to qualify for our housing process. And so, I mean, that was something that we really wanted, but we had to sort of champion that, man, you don't even, qualify for us because you make too much money, okay? And so, I mean, that's something that gives us a laugh every time. And that's an individual who stops by on his off days just to say hello, doesn't want anything, let us know that whatever, he can do at any point in time. So what you're hearing again in all of this is themes of our relationship building process, from the people that we exist to serve, to the stakeholders who may not always have our participants' best interests, but we have to work with those individuals to really be in concert and be at the table. such that we can be impactful and innovative as we hear things that we need to innovate around.
Fantastic, fantastic story. One that you would wish for everyone, right? Coming out of incarceration. What a model story. Larry, how can people get engaged with you? Like, I'm sure that even though you're generating revenue, you still need money. And I'm sure that you need contributions. I'm sure you need employers to sign up. But tell people how they can support Project Return and the work that you're doing.
I think the foundation of it, Jenny, is really in our relationship and relationship building. We're getting to know our employers to quickly understand what their business model is, what their culture is, and what their workforce needs are ultimately, such that we can figure out how we can be in concert with them and in relationship with them to provide that workforce service. We basically offer two avenues that employers can connect with us. And one is simply about referrals for direct hire. And the second is about the staffing enterprise that we have built. In terms of the direct hire, we understand that most of the companies are in a strong need for additional talent above and beyond what they already have. And we like to work with them in whatever way that best suits what their needs are in terms of their hiring process. Oftentimes, the relationship can have Project Return operating as sort of an extension of their human resources for the most part, because we're going to vet based on their needs. We're going to have job ready those individuals that's going to walk into their culture, into their hiring process seamlessly without having to ask a whole lot of questions, because we've checked all of those boxes so that they don't have to check in the boxes. The second is in terms of staffing. ProE is Project Return's high quality staffing company. We hear from employers all the time, Jenny, that they want to hire folks after incarceration, but they just don't want to be the first employer. And so that is what we exist to do, is to be that first employer, to get those individuals prepared from a job readiness perspective to become the workforce for that particular company that we're working for.
And I'll chime in just real quickly and say, as well as all of that, we love corporate support. We love private support, and we also have volunteer opportunities in addition to that. So we would love to get more and more connected with our new community of Chattanooga as well.
You're muted, Jenny.
I know that's my name nowadays. Jenny, you're muted. But yeah, so fantastic. So what I've done is I've put into the chat your website, projectreturninc.org, so people can learn more about you and how to engage. We did have a question come in from one of our audience participants. Tabitha is asking, does your organization interact with ACE ratings, adverse childhood experiences? And if so, how does your organization serve your clients in that particular area?
Thanks for that question. I'll address that. I guess we have a couple of minutes. As one who's been a longtime member of the Building Strong Brains group of Tennessee, I will say that we take this topic very seriously. We know that clearly incarceration and criminal justice involvement is an adverse childhood experience if your parent was that or you. And so that is something we take very seriously. We are not engaged we don't do the ratings at our office, but we take a trauma-informed approach to all of our work, and really are at the table for many of those community conversations. So we'd love to be more involved in the Chattanooga community with that as well. So thank you for raising that very, very important topic.
Great. So as we wrap up today, I want to thank you, Betty, and you, Larry, first for your innovative leadership in a very difficult market. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank your teams for all of their many contributions, because it's really, I know that your leadership and all the team members of Project Return working with your clients every day that make a difference. Thanks for showing the courage to do something different. Thanks for having the orientation to serve the whole person. We're just very thankful that you're here, and we wish you great success into the future. So thanks again for being with us today. I know that for those of you who are joining us, we have more Inspire series coming up, a program coming up on November the 17th with US Express, one of the large logistics companies in our area, talking about foresight and what they're seeing coming up and democratizing automation and the impact of AI and automated vehicles. Come join us and hear about the work at at US Express. Also, we have our Bright Spark, our kids program, Invention Challenge Awards on November the 18th. It's free. We have over 8 countries this time invested in the future of home. They've all pitched their videos. And so you can join us and see which teams will be winning the Invention Challenge Awards around the future of home. We have a leadership mingle coming up on December 2nd to just celebrate innovation for good and tell stories and meet each other. Bring your favorite beverage. And then in January, the vice president of UNAM's Learning and Development Organization, talking about leading a learning revolution. So do join us for other programs coming up. They're free and available to all innovative leaders. We love their stories. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.